Hello, welcome to our unique learning system language arts lesson. My name is Charlotte Lucas. I am an autism low incidence mentor teacher with Richmond Public Schools, and I am so happy to be able to work with you today. The name of our book today is Vibrations and Sound. First, we'll do a picture walk. We'll discuss the author's purpose. I'll read the book to you. We'll discuss some story elements. We'll determine if the book is fiction or nonfiction. Then we'll answer some questions related to the text. And our focus for today will be sequence of events. We have a lot to do, so let's get to work. So our book for today is Vibrations and Sound. And one of the words that in your vocabulary today that I want to discuss with you is vibrations. Now, I'm going to attempt to give you an illustration of vibration using a guitar. I cannot play the guitar, believe me, but it does serve as an excellent way to demonstrate vibration and what vibration might look like. What you're going to do is keep your eye on the string. We're going to hear the sound and we're going to see the string moving. Let me see if I can make that happen for you. If I pluck the guitar, you hear the sound, but you see the way the string is moving. I'll see if I can do it a little bit better for you. That's the way vibration moves. That movement that you see is vibration. I'll give it another try. If you look here all the way down, do you see how that works? I'll do it one more time. Yeah, vibration looks like that. And that is our vocabulary word for today. All right, let's see if we can do a picture walk of the book. The purpose of the picture walk is to let you get an idea of what the book will be about. We know it's the title, which is Vibrations and Sound. So let's see what types of things we'll learn. You see these marks, these curves coming away from this amplifier? That means that sound is happening. And in this picture, one of the characters has her hands in her ears. Something must be loud. And we see that our telephone, the sound is coming, that's a vibration. It seems like the telephone, which makes a vibration, and you know about that using your cell phone, the vibration that you can feel it, even if you don't hear the sound, makes waves. And the sound moves to our ears. That seems to demonstrate the sound moves to our ears. And sounds from the amplifier, this looks like it can be large sounds. We put our earphones in. And, oh, here's the guitar. And the guitar is showing us how the shape of the vibrations when it moves, how sound moves. And again, we're on the stage. In this story, the students are trying to practice for a play. So they're on a stage. And here we have loud sounds and the vibration. The shape is long. And if it's a quiet sound, the shape is small. All right. So let's go back to the beginning and let's talk about some possible questions that you will get when you're reading. Now, it's always a good idea to look at the questions first. That'll give you a purpose for reading, and then you will kind of get an idea of what to look for as you're reading. So let's see what kind of questions that could possibly be asked, some things that we need to look for. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger so you can see the questions also. It says, one of the questions would be, what is this chapter about? That is probably, you're going to get that question on probably every kind of book you read. What is this book about? What is this chapter about? So always keep that in mind. Another question would be, where do all sounds come from? Where do all sounds come from? Let's remember our vocabulary words. That will be helpful. Where do sound waves carry sound to? Where do sound waves carry sound to? All right. What sounds have shorter sound waves? We saw that as an illustration in our book. And then it says, what is important to know about this chapter? That's another question that you'll hear most of the time. What is important to know about this chapter? All right. So we've got a purpose for reading. We have a good idea of what's going on. Another thing that we want to consider as we are about to read the book. What would be the author's purpose? What would be the author's purpose for writing this book? Now, when writers write, they have a reason to write. They want to either, and when we think about it, we think about pie. We think about pie. The author is either trying to persuade us, the person who's writing the book is either trying to persuade us, P. They might be trying to inform us, I, or they might be trying to entertain us, E. If they're trying to persuade us, they're trying to get us to do something or to believe in something. All right. If they're trying to inform us, he's giving us information about a topic. If they're trying to entertain us, they're telling us a story that we will enjoy. We might have emotions behind it. We might think it's silly and laugh. We might get sad and cry. We might get happy because of the outcome of the events in the story. All of these things are designed to help the reader, but the author's purpose, the author has a purpose when he's writing. Another thing that we need to consider when we're reading are story elements. Every story that we read will have some characters, a setting, a problem, and a solution. That's if it's a story, we have characters, they're the people in the story, the setting, where the story is taking place, a problem, what's the challenge, a conflict the main character might face, and a solution. If there's a problem, we really want there to be a solution. And we're also going to be looking for making a decision as to whether the book is fiction or nonfiction. If the story is fiction, it's not a real story. This story is made for you to enjoy. There's a problem, there's a solution, and you feel some kind of way about which way the story events go. If the story is nonfiction, it's not a story, it's real talk, it's fact. You're reading to learn. Sometimes in a nonfiction book, you'll have a table of contents, you'll have a glossary, and you will always get true information or directions. All right, let's go ahead and now read the story. The story is Vibrations and Sound. The students hear loud music as they move onto the stage. It is so loud that they have to cover their ears. Mrs. Thomas turns off the music. She was testing the speakers. The music is so loud, it felt like the stage was vibrating, says Cara. It did feel like the stage was vibrating, says Mrs. Thomas. All sounds come from vibrations. Vibrations are small, fast movements that go back and forth. You might feel your cell phone vibrate when you get a call. Vibrations make waves, says Mrs. Thomas. Sound waves can move through air, water, and some objects. The sound waves carry sound to your ears. The sound waves hit your eardrums. Your eardrums vibrate too. When your eardrums vibrate, you hear the sound. You felt the stage move and vibrate, says Mrs. Thomas. You were feeling the vibrations from the sound of the loud music. Loud sounds make tall sound waves. They have big vibrations. Quiet sounds make shorter sound waves. They have small vibrations. It takes more force to make a loud sound, says Mrs. Thomas. A force is a push or a pull. Plucking a guitar is an example of a force. If you pluck a guitar hard, you are using more energy. The strings will vibrate more and the sound waves will be taller. The sound will be louder. If you pluck a guitar softly, you use less energy. The sound will be quiet. That must be what happens when we turn up the volume on the speaker, says Gavin. It happens when we use a microphone. There is more energy. The sound waves get taller. The sound gets louder. That's right, says Mrs. Thomas. The speakers and microphones can help make sounds louder during the play. We have learned how sounds come from vibrations, says Mrs. Thomas. We hear sounds when sound waves hit our ears. Loud sounds have taller sound waves. Quiet sounds have smaller sound waves. Tomorrow, we will learn more about how sound waves moves when it hits objects. All right. Well, that was a very interesting story. That story, if we have to stop and think about what type of story it was, that story was filled with information. So if we have to decide if this story is a fiction or a nonfiction story, we get a little bit confused, don't we? It's kind of breaking the rules again. There's a story where we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's telling us a story about what Miss Thomas and Gavin and Carol are experiencing on the stage. That is a story. But it is also giving us true information. And the information is really what the author wants you to get. So this type of fiction or nonfiction is called a narrative nonfiction. It's a true story, but it's told in the form of a story. This is a narrative nonfiction. And this is new information because we usually have fiction or nonfiction, cut and dry. That's what it is. But this was a combination of a story and true information, facts. So it is called what? Narrative nonfiction. Excellent. Well, let's try to decide what was the author's purpose. Why did the writer write this story for the reader, us? Why? Let's see. Was he trying to persuade us, inform us, or entertain us? Well, we know it's a narrative nonfiction. There's a lot of facts in this story. So we can conclude that the author wrote this book to inform us. When we use our pie to help us make a decision, we think about persuade, inform, entertain, and we can conclude from this story that he was trying to give us information about a topic. The topic was sound waves, and we got a lot of information from that. And it actually turned out to be a very good story. And that is very exciting, guys and girls. Well, we've read our story. Let's see if we did everything that we wanted to do today. We've read our story, we did a picture walk, we talked about some story elements, but what we didn't get a chance to do yet is we need to show a sequence of events. Well, in the story, as we were reading, there was a sequence of events, but it was a sequence of information about sound waves. In this story, we had a sequence of information about sound waves. Now, when you are using a sequence of events, some of the words that you're going to hear are first, second, next, then, after, finally, last. When someone is giving you a sequence of events, those are the types of words that you'll hear. So the first thing that we heard, that we learned, was that all sounds come from vibrations. If we put the information in order, the first thing that we heard was all sounds come from vibrations. Next, we heard vibrations makes waves. Vibrations make waves. The next thing that we heard was loud sounds make tall sound waves. Loud sounds make tall sound waves. Then we heard that Quiet sounds make shorter sound waves. After that, we heard it takes more force to make loud sound. It takes more force to make a loud sound. And we learned a force is push or pull. And the last thing that we learned in this story was we hear sounds when sound waves hit our ears. All right. We learned a lot of really good stuff in this story. And I think you've done an excellent job of listening and making decisions. Boys and girls, I've had a wonderful time. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye now.